like this. Check this out. Check it out. What's it all about? Check it out. What's it all about?
Hey everyone, welcome to Jason Bennett for Popcorn HQ. We're back with another edition of Beyond the Synopsis, where we do a deep dive into a new title being released from the creators themselves. And today we're doing a spotlight on Archie versus Minor Threats. That's right, the world of Minor Threats is colliding with Archie Comics. So Dark Horse, Archie Comics are getting together, courtesy of Sabrina Spellman, and we have some of the creators working on that project. It's coming August 6th. Today, I am joined by, you may know, my first guest from his work on Alien Books, Valiant Entertainment, Black, White, and Bloodshot. A lot of stuff over at Archie Comics, whether it's Fear the Funhouse, Toy Box of Terror, the recent free comic book day offering. I believe it was Archie Comics Spectacular 2025, as well as the recently released anthology LA Strong from Mad Cave Studios. He's also the owner of the five-time Eisner-nominated comic shop, Ventura County's premier comic shop, Arsenal Comics and Games, writer Timmy Heague, and his co-collaborator on this new series. You may know his work, where it's penciling, inking, or full illustrations on titles of Marvel, DC, Image, maybe characters you know, like Deadpool. He's done Venom Original Sin, Captain America, Spider-Man, just a slew of work. There are other mutant titles, as well as has his fingerprint on other DC works like World's Finest, Brave and the Bold, OMAC, One Man Army Corps, and he also we were talking beforehand about his amazing cover work, this wraparound cover for DC's New History of the DC Universe. His name is, that's right, Scott Koblish. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for having us on. I really appreciate it.
Great having you here. This is like such an amazing miniseries, 4-issue miniseries coming out August 6th. It's a collision of the bright and hopeful with the dim and dirty with hilarious results this summer. So drink milkshakes, do crime. So tell us about how this all came to be. Minor Threats, for people who may not know, been under a rock for the last almost 3 years now, I guess.
Yeah, just shy of 3
with
years.
Minor Threats. I think that was in August of 2022. Minor Threats is a series over at Dark Horse created by Jordan Blum, Patton Oswalt. I know the series cover artist for this series that we're speaking of, Scott Hepburn, did a lot of the illustrations early on.
Yep.
And so you have the characters from that universe over DC beaten up with over at Archie Comics, all the ones you will know. Archie, Betty and Veronica, Reggie, Jughead, Josie and the Pussycats. It's just jam-packed with characters, which is amazing. How did this kind of collaboration come together? And, how did, not only between the two publishers and the story with Minor Threats and Archie kind of intertwining, but the two of you come together. I know, Timmy, with your experience over at Archie, and Scott, I mean, you're just, from your name alone, attaching it to the title would be definitely something worth having. So, but kind of briefly walk us through how this all came to be.
Yeah, I've known Scott for just shy of 11 years now. He was actually the first person to a signing event at my first little store. And it was for a release of X-Men 92, the comic, at the time, which was the first expansion of the X-Men animated series. What could have happened after the series, and little did we know, 10 years later, that would become a premise of a very popular revised cartoon. And yeah, so I've always just been such a big fan of Scott as a just a fan, as a person, and just I've been very lucky to have his friendship over the years. He's one of my favorite people, and not just is he just this talented artist in his own right, but he has been able to just make his style always just versatile. And there was an issue of Spider-Man Deadpool about 5-6 years ago that he did that where every page was a different art style, paying tribute to famous artists. And that was the first thing I thought of when we wanted to do this Archie Minor Threats crossover, because one of the novelties of this miniseries is the Archie characters we wanted to look as Archie authentic as possible, and the Minor Threats characters to look like, the Minor Threats Dark Horse series. And from the get-go, Scott was my instant choice, and I'm very happy that my first choice was the perfect choice, and it happened. And it's been the best. There's nothing more I love than making comics, but man, do I love making comics with some of my best friends. And it's the best. Collaborating with people love and respect. It's the dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, from my angle, Timmy's been like a really important part of my life as well. I've been really surprised at he's built this little empire here in Southern California. And it's been really impressive to watch him. He's got this store, and then he's got that store, and he's got these ideas on how to do this sort of thing. And it's just been, it's always energizing to talk with Tim about what kind of things he's got in mind, or what kind of things he's got planned. So it's always a blast to talk with him, and now I get to do stuff with him, so it's super fun. This has been a really great project. I really have enjoyed all of it. I was just gushing about this thing to Mark Waid actually earlier today. So, but yeah, it's just I love this project. It is kind of up my alley in that it's got two different distinct art styles. One, the traditional Archie stuff, and then the next, what's really after 3 years, the traditional Minor Threats sort of art style. So I've been trying to dive into both and just sort of mix and match and combine. It's funny because Patton talks about it as that these things shouldn't have any reason for being together, but it's sort of I spend all day long trying to make sure that it is together,
Right, and
So
you've spoken about the importance for you to maintain the integrity and respect the characters, as well. And because I wondered that, because looking back at Minor Threats, like I said early on, it was Scott Hepburn illustrating, but they've also had Ryan Brown, INJ Colbert, Sue Lee has done work. But you're still getting to work on these characters, and knowing that you're seeing that you get the kind of classic Archie, even kind of before Dan Parent's work, a little more, I don't want to say old school, but just that really, you know, uh, just classic Archie that's just timeless.
that's what I'm
And
trying to
as
shoot
well
for.
as
Yeah.
putting him into a world that's, very now,
Yeah.
very,
When
and it
it
has to be
came to the
cherished.
character, when it came to the character designs and doing this project, it was, first we want them to look as classic, traditional as Archie as possible. So it's very contrasting to when they, show up in Twilight City next to the Minor Threats characters.
Yeah.
But Scott did this thing where the characters not just look traditional and classic, but they still have like a modern feel to it. And the way I look at it and the way I write these characters is Mark Waid's art. She did a really good job of staying true and authentic to Archie, but in the modern day age. Like it's very, Archie's timeless. Archie is timely. Archie is always the beating pulse of pop culture. And Mark Waid did that perfectly. And now when we write these characters in this crossover and the way they are designed and looked, it's like, what happens if we got Mark Waid's style, the way he does Archie, that era, with Fiona Staples and all the countless other great artists he worked with in that 6 graphic novel volume run, 40-something issues. But what happens if we up the ante of just playing more into, like, injecting more Archie Digest into it, more just classic 60s, 70s, Archie into it, but still, of course, making it feel modern and and just having this authentic feel. And that's the thing that I'm really proud of with this crossover is I don't think a single person could read this book and not tell that we love and value and cherish these characters.
Yeah, that's especially true for the Archie characters. The thing that I was thinking about when I took this project, I don't really know how well everybody's. I know these are Patton and Jordan's and Timmy to some extent. These are all their characters, so like I figured that maybe it would focus mostly on them, but like honestly, the Archie stuff has been just tremendous. Like everyone's done a real specific, like they dove into each character. Like each character has clear motivations. Each character has clear, like a clear reason for being a key part of the story. Like Sabrina Spellman's section, like even to the point where like Salem has an incredibly important like Jiminy Cricket kind of a relationship with Archie. Like and Archie like having like is really where the pivot is on a lot of this because Archie at his core is a good person. And how do you create a story about a good person? Do you know what I mean? Because that person isn't going to really um change,
Not
like
gonna
this
deviate
like
from that.
yeah, like the beginning of this
Yeah.
story, Archie's a good person, and at the end of this story, Archie's a good person. Some things have happened to him, and he's had to make some choices, and those choices really cement his character. But it's not as if like you know how like with Tony Stark's a bit of a blowhard and a drunkard and like a control freak, and hopefully he learns some lesson that changes him at the end of the thing. That's not what's going to happen to Archie. Do you know what I mean? But
Right.
that's important that Archie be the person that he is. Do you know what I mean? So like we've really been having a blast like reading these scripts. They've just been terrific. So
And yeah, and Scott and I were talking pre-interview here, off camera, um, about some of these feature issues that like issue 2 and 3 are already showing up on Dark Horse sites. So you can look at the synopses and like issue 2, we're gonna get a battle of the bands. And issue 3, it's gonna be a real Freaky Friday kind of swap with
yeah.
Mhm.
minor threats becoming really Riverdale kids, and vice versa. That the Archie crew are super villains in this universe. So it's a really interesting dynamic for fans of Archie comics or fans of minor threats or Dark Horse comics that you're going to see something here that's really, I think, really going to make you appreciate and possibly expand what you're reading and taking in that seeing what you can do, how you guys are kind of playing in the sandbox with these characters.
I hope so.
With all of it, like we just when it came to like playing in the sandbox and playing with all these toys, we wanted it to just like not be smashing the toys together. We wanted it to have a story that is something that's never been done with Archie, which is Archie Breaking Bad, and having it all make sense and the who, what, and why, you know, aligning with what's true to the character and the characters around him and his origins. And with the minor threats characters, like for me, this has been such a dream because I'm writing these characters with the people that created them. And that's been really great because it makes the dialogue as authentic as possible to what they've done with these characters. But we wanted this story to matter, and with our minor threats universe, we wanted it to expand upon it for Frankie Folis, the main character. And what's been set up in previous volumes of minor threats is she has a hatred for magic, and we wanted to use that. We wanted to use her issues with anger and the consequences of what she goes through in her first volume, like the story arc in the first volume of minor threats, what she goes through. And we all wanted these things to have meaning with the Archie versus Minor Threats crossover. And so naturally, when it comes to her hatred of magic, we throw in Sabrina Spellman as a catalyst to help show that's connected to why she hates magic. And it's really fun. We got to expand upon Frankie's origin in this crossover, and it works and it makes sense, and it's going to have lasting implications for the character, which is really
That
fun.
that's what I was
Like it's
going to
going to be
point
one
out,
of
that it's
those.
very important for
Yeah.
people to know that
Yep.
this isn't just a 4-issue miniseries for the sake of having
Exactly.
fun. That it plays a canonical role. That this is going to mean something into the future of Minor Threats. That
Yeah.
there's some continuity.
And it also helps like cement why the character acts the way she does in volume two. It's because it takes place in between volume one and two of Minor Threats, like a 1.5. And she's got these issues of anger from just stuff that she's dealing with on the first volume, and we expand upon what she's going through with this crossover, and really just like what her childhood was like is referenced in the first volume of Minor Threats, and now here she is with all these teenagers who have perfect childhoods, that have perfect teenage years, something she never had. And like you said, in the third issue, the cover shows the Minor Threats characters be, Riverdale, Archified.
Right.
And that has a mystical element to it, a swapping, Freaky Friday thing that plays into Sabrina's role in the series and the mystical elements of what we're bringing into the story. And it's really fun to give Frankie that childhood she never had, those teenage years she never had. And just it's just really like poetic, tragic thing of like you give this character something they never had, but they truly can't enjoy it because it's such like this. Well, I won't spoil, but yeah,
No, don't do
it's
that. Yeah,
yeah,
don't spoil it. We want
yeah,
people to go out and pick it up.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely putting both sets of characters in roles that they may
Yes,
not have otherwise been in.
yes,
And we'll
and
see how that plays
this.
out with, the Archie gang and I think it's your variant cover on issue 2, Scott. I think
Mhm.
Archie holding a big bag of money,
Yeah.
or something. So it's like, wait a minute, what's Archie doing here? That's not what
Yeah,
I remember of him. But
Yeah, Archie is covered in blood, figuratively and literally, in the
yeah.
second issue. So, like, yeah.
it's crazy, and it's looking like it's already receiving some high praise in advance of its release. You got Jerry Duggan, Jerry Conway, Sean Van Gorman. I know Mike Allred and Patrick Horvath, but they also provide variant covers for this issue 1, along with
There's
all
a
over the
lot of
place.
There's
variant
Dan.
covers.
Dan
There's
Parent,
Dan Parent.
Joe
Yeah,
Quinones.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so there's a lot there. So now, Scott, so I see that Scott Hepburn, the original
Yeah.
illustrator for Minor Threats, is going to be doing your main cover A's,
Mhm.
along with Ian Herring. And but I see that you're doing the B cover. You're doing a variant for each issue. Is that correct? I haven't seen this
I
before.
am, yeah. I'm doing a variant for each issue. Yeah, I'm psyched that Scott Hepburn gets to do the main covers for he's the guy that helped come up with this visual language. So it's really fun to play in his sandbox essentially. So it's really neat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
no,
had a blast. And Mike Allred does a cover, and I mean, there's just some really, really talented, really fun covers. I think that covers always add some element of possibility to like
Hmm.
a series, like because it sort of fleshes out like what other people can think of when they think of the concept. So even when I sat down to do stuff, like I've been looking at what Scott Hepburn drew and what Mike Allred did and what Joe Quinones did, and like I really like looked at each one and thought, yeah, there's something to each one of these interpretations, and I'd like to get a little bit of that element into some of this. I'm really trying mostly to just get a level of excitement that I want people to get when they read the book. Like, I really want, I really like the whole Wednesday Warrior thing. I hope that people come pick up the first issue, then pick up the second issue, like that way they're
sure.
in, and they just really enjoy it. There'll be a trade eventually, but I just want people to really like enjoy the comic as it comes out. 'Cause there's a lot of surprises each time out. There's a great cliffhanger for each issue. So Honestly, we've been
Yeah,
working it out.
it looks
Yeah, it's
incredible, and I totally agree with you with the cover art. And I noticed Archie's not anything, it isn't new to the crossover. I know, like you're speaking with the cover art, I noticed it big with the Archie versus Batman 66. I know the first covers on those, there were just a number of them. And I think Mike already had one on that too. Um, just beautiful, and yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
does
that's
add
the
something
great thing
to it.
about crossovers. Like you have these variant covers for the crossovers, and it lets these artists get their spin of like what both these properties look like crossing over, but also you get to see their interpretations of the characters in itself,
Sure.
and it's just
And
really
their
cool.
range that, you may know them
Yeah,
from a certain
immensely. Yeah,
style, but here they are now, taking on an additional style or two and showing, kind of flexing
yeah,
That's
what
very
they
true.
did.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Hey, and Timmy, Scott and I were speaking about this too prior. I definitely wanted to touch on to let people know because it
yeah,
really adds to the experience that Archie versus Minor Threats is creating. Is that the two of you were involved in creating a playlist, which is available on
yeah, yeah.
Spotify for download, streaming, listening. I have it on my app. I told him I was going to take it in my car here once we're done and go for a little drive. And um, a lot to do with magic, teens, uh, bad out of hell. I see, I put a spell on you. So, you know, talk to us about how that was. And Scott briefly touched on it, and of course, we weren't
Yeah,
technically
that
recording
that
that it was more than just the two of you, but you all had selections, and Patton was involved, and
I thought it was a great
how
idea.
that sit down work.
yeah, they're it's something they've done since I think everything since the sequel for Minor Threats Volume 2. They've always done a playlist, so there's been a couple of them. And I'm a huge music guy. I'm a big audiophile. I love records. That's another thing I collect and listen to. Like I always write with records on the turntable playing.
I
And
got mine kind of going.
like
I saw your Oasis.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, I love music and I love writing with music going. And I love that Patton Jordan and Hepburn did these playlists for every volume and spinoff so far. And they always bring in the spinoff collaborators to help with that. And I, I had started the playlist prior before you even asked because I knew it was just something that goes with Minor Threats. And it's just something that I was excited to do. And of course, pick songs to listen to as I'm writing that relate to what the story's going on and the characters. And yeah, Patton's such a like he's just such a like his taste and knowledge for everything film, music, TV, comics is just so vast and impressive that it was really cool getting his additions because he really threw some stuff out that I'd never heard of. And I was
Okay.
super stoked to, be, introduced to stuff to put on this playlist. I would recommend checking out the playlist on Dark Horse's website before you go to Spotify because he
Okay.
actually threw in some songs that were not on Spotify. They were that deep cut
Oh, okay.
that
Obscure,
yeah,
kind of real.
yeah, and it was killer. Like just
Okay.
rock and roll tracks.
We'll
And I
definitely put
loved
the
I
link.
loved it. Yeah, it's killer. And yeah, so a lot of my stuff on the playlist, like I threw in some like just a lot of, songs that really make me think magic and mystic and, witches and witchcraft and it's a lot of fun. But then I was just thinking of like teenage rock and angst and just, teenage hero's journey
Yeah, I
and,
see kids
what
in
kids can
America.
yeah,
I
yeah. It's just fun, man. It's just super fun. And yeah, Scott here put in some great stuff too. And yeah, it's just a really fun like thing that like Minor Threats does with each release. And I'm very happy not just to contribute to the universe with this crossover, but I got to contribute a playlist as well.
I
that's
thought it was a
great.
terrific idea. I was really psyched to be able to just throw out a few things. There's like there's some stuff in there that I thought was just kind of really great. There's one song in there that I just threw out there because I love that band and nobody knows that band. So I was like, everyone will like that song, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
but
I did have a question regarding that playlist. Does it in any way sync up with the books, like the first six songs, correlate to the first issue? Or I mean, does it do that in any aspect, or is it just an overarching, kind of,
Just
you know?
overarching, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted to. select stuff that like made sense for no matter where you are in the series. Like I
Okay,
wanted
okay.
it to be overarching for the entire 4 issue miniseries. So there's definitely like issue 3 where we got now the I like what you call it, the Freaky Friday swap. Like
Yeah, that's
there's
great.
songs that definitely make sense with that and just switching places, because
Right.
of magic. And yeah, it's and just being kids in America, the must cover, because it kind of has a double meaning, because yes, Archie and the gang, obviously the teenagers in question, kids in America, but then also with Frankie switching places with the Riverdale teens, it also applies
Yeah,
to
like
her too. It's
for
fun.
a talent show or something, right?
Yes, yes. I won't spoil too much because
No,
three's
no,
the really
I think
like
that's all that was really revealed in
yeah,
the synopsis.
yeah.
But something.
Three and four things really go off the rails, and
Yeah,
it's
which is
it's a lot of
awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like even the song "Teenage Dream" by T Rex, like even that just really applies to like Frankie dreaming of a teenage year she never had and the childhood she never had, and what the teenage dream means to Archie. Betty, Veronica. Oh, who do I choose? It's great.
I
Certainly.
wanted to make sure to get that. I'm a big fan of that Josie and the Pussycats movie, and I thought
Yes.
there's some terrific songs on that album, and I wanted to get at least one song from that album in there. So
And that was three small words.
yeah, that's a great. So
Yeah.
that lyric is tremendous. So the chorus is that it took it's
You
like
have to
six
sing it.
long days.
You have to
For,
sing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like 6 long days, five whole hours for all your lies to come undone. Like they use the homonym, for FOR for
Sure.
four, and
Right.
then there's 3 small words came way too late. They use the homonym for that, and then for all your lies, what is it? For all your lies to come undone, those 3 small words came way too late for you to find out that I'm the one. And I was like, that's great.
So
What
good.
a well done, what a tight little number that is. It's great, and it's rocking too. It's like
Yep.
so
And it's great. And like you and I were talking, Scott, about how it just increases this experience for people, not just, just
yeah.
hey, come pick up our comic. It's something bigger than that. It is an event. It is a crossover event of the summer. It is something to be, excited about every 4 weeks for a new comic book day. I know we have, like I said, August 6th on issue one, and then approximately a month later for each following issue, and then trade paperback is currently slated for March 24th of next year. So put that on your calendar. Hey, one question I have, and it's probably requires little to no response, but just out of curiosity, because when you're working with two different publishers and two different sets of
Yeah.
established
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
are either of you restricted in any way or given any kind of limitations on what you can and can't do? Or are there things
You
like,
know,
hey, just, because I mean, some of it, they want you to have fun with it, but at the same
yeah.
time, you're not going to, you know, have
We want,
Archie flipping off people or, I mean,
we always want to be like, we want to push the envelope, yes, and do things with, especially the Archie characters that have never been done before, or one, won't ever see. But like, it's still very important to me that these characters still stay authentic and true to themselves. Like,
sure.
I really care about these characters and they matter to me. So I take this very seriously, the job. And like, I'm very thankful for Archie Editorial, because with this project and pushing that envelope, they help guide you to make sure it's still Archie comics. And it's the coolest thing. And it's been really fascinating too to like see them be editorial, like with Scott as well. Like there'll be scenes that we wrote and they want to have like the facial expressions tweaked to be more true to the character in those situations.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for Scott, because he has to to edit and all that. So there's the work that puts into from those notes. But I just dig the fact that like to the end of the line, like these characters are getting the true authentic experience from us and editorial.
I appreciate all the work that they've been getting into
Yeah.
it, so it helps me out to get it right. You know what I mean? Like I get about
Sure.
90% of the way there.
Yes.
And their notes push it over the edge to 100%, which is exactly what we're looking for. Because I don't think that you really would get the sense that this would have the same consequences if it didn't look like Archie comics. Do you know what I mean? Like if it just looked a
Sure.
little bit like some other character or something like that, or something that I came up with in my head. If it didn't have the history that this line of comics has. So
And
I think
so
that
you're going to
that's
say,
important.
wow, yeah, Archie really doesn't look like he belongs in this scenario.
Right.
Not just because
Yep.
of, but it's because, you're drawing him in the class and, and he kind of emits that kind of personality and, all the characters do, from and
Yeah, I wanted to
the
get it
story
right.
past.
Yeah, yeah. I
Sure.
thought it was important. And I think that even when Timmy mentioned it to me, like as a concept, like immediately I was on board with trying to make it look exactly like Archie. Do you know what I mean? Like it just
Right.
made sense that that was the angle that you take on this one. Otherwise, it might fall apart. So
I
I thought it
love
was great.
seeing Crab Louie with Riverdale R on a show. I think that was for issue 3.
Yeah.
That was kind of a trip. Hey, real quick, and you're wrapping up. August 6th, like I said, is when it releases. Uh, do you guys have any promotions lined up for Archie versus Minor Threats? Does Arsenal have a signing on release day? Scott, I know you've done stuff with Collector's Paradise. So I didn't know if you guys have any like signings or any kind of special kind of things going
Yeah,
on, either
we're
with
so
the publishers or
we
just with the stores.
But- yeah, and after San Diego, for the release of the book, I definitely would love to do a signing at one of my locations. We want to do a signing at an LA shop. But
Okay.
set in stone going forward is we have in Oregon, I'm going up with Patton to Books of Pictures Eugene, and it's
Oh,
going to be
wow.
like a mega threat signing where it's me, him, Mike Allred, and Matt Fraction. Like,
Wow.
it's because Matt Fraction did Welcome to Twilight City #1 with Allred, which, yes, I know my opinion's biased being part of the Minor Threats family, but I really think Welcome to Twilight City #1 was one of the best comics out this year, and I am totally submitting it for an Eisner for next year's. I was going to try to for this year, but the Eisners have a cutoff date of it being released the previous year, so
Right.
it'll be up
Right.
for, nomination, fingers crossed, eligible for nomination next year. But
That's
yeah,
good.
there's that in Oregon. And then there's Cape and Cowl Con at
Oh,
the end of August up in the Oakland Bay
the Bay
Area.
Area. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and me and Patton are doing that, and it's going to be it's an awesome show they throw once a year now at a giant brewery in town, and the vibes are awesome. And yeah, Patton's going to be the headliner with Rick Remender and Brian Posehn, and I get to join as Patton's co-writer on the
That's
project, and
awesome.
I'm really
I
excited.
might make it out to that one. That's just a few hour drive for me, so I can.
Where's
Oh,
that one
please
at?
do, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Where's that one
definitely.
at? That
It's
sounds awesome.
it's next to Oakland.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done
Yeah, yeah,
Oakland, San Jose, Concord, all kind of,
yeah.
San
I
Francisco.
Yeah, Scott, if you want to go, let me know. I just didn't. Scott just had a baby, so
I did.
I've
Yeah,
been
I
yeah,
saw
I've
that
yeah,
been
yeah.
just
yeah
last month, right?
Yeah.
yeah
Congratulations,
Oh,
baby
thank you very
girl.
yeah
much. Yeah, she's
yeah
terrific. But yeah, it does make it so that like my stomach winds up being a little bigger than I realize what I can chew because I'm like, oh, that sounds
yeah.
fantastic, and I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm not going to
Yeah, there's been
that.
there's been so many things that I've had to like have self control. Just texting Scott like, Scott, do you want to go with me? Do
Yeah,
you want to hang
yeah,
out with me with this? I'm like, oh man, he's got a
yeah.
baby,
Yeah,
you know.
it's true. I don't want to be on the wrong side of that decision. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, thanks so much for talking to us. Everyone, we want you to go out and pick up the premiere issue of Archie versus Minor Threats, #1. It comes out August 6th at your local comic shop, your favorite online retailer. Snag covers by Scott Hepburn with Ian Herring, Joe Quinones, Patrick Horvath, Dan Parent, Mike Allred, and series artist Scott Koblish. It's a crossover event this summer and surely one not to be missed. Brought to you by publishers Archie Comics, Dark Horse Comics, and from the world of Minor Threats. Once again, Thank you both, Timmy Heague, Scott Koblish. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us, and
Of course.
excited for what you got going on. We're gonna grab all 4 of the issues, and maybe we're gonna do some sort of tie-in giveaway or something to get more
That'd be
people to
fun,
get
man.
eyes on
Yeah.
it.
Super fun. Yeah.
And you got me interested. I need to
Be
go to
awesome.
Dark Horse and find the playlist for the
Yeah.
bonus stuff.
That's
so.
right. Drink
Wonderful.
milkshakes, do crime. Let's go.
Hey.
And it goes a little something like this. Check this out.